welcome to the Business Viewpoint magazine. Today, we are honored to have a conversation with a woman who's redefining coaching excellence through purpose, empathy, and transformational impact. Our guest has dedicated her journey to helping individuals gain clarity, confidence, and emotional resilience in an ever changing world. As a respected life coach, Rashika Kaul has guided countless individuals toward self awareness and sustainable personal growth, making her one of the most influential voices in the coaching space today. Today, we'll have a candid conversation with her about forgiveness. Rashika, thank you so much for joining us and thank you so much for being here with us on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you, Apurva. It's lovely to see you and lovely to be here.
Oh, it's an honor, ma'am. Like we're going to talk about forgiveness. So, my first question to you would be, what does it really mean to forgive? Like when we talk about forgiveness, what it actually means in real life beyond just saying like let it go, because that's a very confusing term. Like this forgiveness means that you have to forget what has happened or excusing for what has happened. Like how do you define it?
Right, right. So actually, forgiveness is only about you. Contrary to what the perception is, forgiveness is not about forgiving the other person. It's about you because what's happened is due to an unpleasant experience that you've had in your life, in your relationship, you tend to go through a lot of that kind of grief and that kind of hurt or that kind of bitterness if it's been an unpleasant relationship. And that is what you are holding on to actually. So this is about you letting go of that pain that you're carrying inside you because it's such a burden. It's such a huge burden, that pain, that bitterness, that anger, or whatever it is that you are feeling within you about the other person. You're carrying somebody else's burden, and so it's that burden that I'm talking about. To let go of that, to let go of that pain, because what happens when we hold on to this pain, it causes diseases first in your soul, then it goes to your mind, and then it goes to your body. And when it eventually goes to your body, it becomes chronic and life threatening. So you don't want to reach that stage. You want to free yourself. um, so that's what really in a nutshell forgiving means.
That's beautifully explained. Like just like you mentioned, you said that forgiveness is about all about you. So many people think that forgiveness is about other people, like other person who you're dealing or you're forgiving. So what do you have to say more about freeing yourself from, like this, like how do you heal from that?
Right. So what happens is, I want to mention here, we attract in our life who we are being in the present moment. This means that our frequency, our vibration, our thoughts, feelings, and the beliefs that we carry about ourselves. Our thoughts and our feelings are made up of what? Our beliefs about ourselves, right? Some of them are very deep seated beliefs. So what happens is we attract who we are being. So our soul, before it has taken the form of the human body, decided the experiences it's going to have, the relationships it's going to have, the people it's going to meet. Why? Because it wants to learn certain lessons. It wants to have certain experiences through which it can learn those lessons in order for it to evolve. So the soul has to grow, and it has its own purpose. Every soul has its own life purpose. So you can be rest assured that everything that you're going through has been pre-decided. So there is a learning to it. So that's the learning really that you have to access whenever you have an unpleasant experience. That's why I encourage therapy a great deal, because through therapy and through coaching, you can actually go back to the root cause of that limiting belief. When you heal the root cause of that belief, it could be unworthiness, for example, it could be neglect, for example, there can be a lot of things that you believe about yourself, then you no longer, that's when you change. When you no longer have those beliefs about yourself and you heal the root cause of those beliefs, then you become a new person. And when you become a new person, you no longer attract that experience, that lesson, because you've already learned the lesson and you've moved on. So if you will hear me as you're hearing me speak, you'll be hearing more and more of it. It's about you at the end of the day. Actually, all of us, we are the source of everything in our lives. We are the source. This should not give the feeling of it being a burden for people, because some people who are hearing it for the first time may take it as a burden. Everything I have to do, everything is in my hands. What about the other person? Why can't the other person change? The other person will never change. Changing is not in our hands as far as the other person is concerned. It is completely out of our control. The only thing that's in our control is ourselves, and that's how it's meant to be actually. You know, so that's what I mean by life begins with you. Everything, your experiences, people you meet, your parents, your friends, your spouse, you want to learn something from that experience. So if you're in a traumatic relationship, you have to go inwards, and that's where it helps to do therapy, because you will realize when you go inwards the root cause of what made you actually choose this relationship. Because you had to, for example, let's say if you're in an unloving relationship, right, where you feel unloved, you feel neglected at some point in your childhood, and even maybe before your childhood, that also happens, comes out in therapy. You will see that you neglected yourself for whatever reasons. It could be coming from an ancestral pattern, it could be a childhood pattern. So, it's quite amazing. But when a baby is there in the womb of the mother, and if the mother is feeling unwanted, unloved, the baby directly imbibes it. That's how it gets passed on, by the way. So, a lot of things get imbibed in the DNA itself. A lot of things gets imbibed in the thought process of the person, the belief. And then this person grows up feeling this way. And then guess what? This person attracts people who will make this person feel more and more unloved. So what you believe, you reinforce that. Life reinforces that and you attract that. That's why it's so important to work on yourself. you know?
Right. Yes, ma'am. I think that's a very, very insightful answer. So, ma'am, if like somebody is holding on to not forgiving the other person, like what are we really holding on to when we refuse to forgive someone? Like, how do you define that feeling?
Right, right, right. It's very natural, very normal. What's happened is when you go through something really unpleasant, someone is being really unpleasant to you and it's been going on for a long time, your nervous system, your body adapts to it and your body seeks safety in it, feeling that pain, you know. So what happens is you don't want to let go of that pain and that bitterness, and it's really in the subconscious. Okay, you may not be aware of this, but when you go deep down, you will realize that you're holding on to it because you feel that if you hold on to it, it will prevent you from getting hurt again. And it also gives you something to blame the other. It's not my fault. I am not responsible for what's happening to me. It's actually the other person. It makes you feel better about yourself, you know. So it's not easy to let go of it. But what happens is, and that's where you have to become really aware and smart, because over a period of time, when you keep festering and that hurt festers, that bitterness festers, and you're, for example, you're not leaving that relationship and you're really unhappy, but you've decided not to leave it, it just grows and grows in the body. It becomes cancerous. And I'm using this word cancerous today because it is a proven fact in spirituality that this is one of the diseases that the body gets when there is prolonged bitterness, you know. So, and then your aura, you become really negative. You can catch yourself feeling very negative about your life, feeling really bad about yourself also and about everything also. And guess what? The spiral goes on and on and on. Because if you feel bad about yourself and your life, you are attracting more and more of it. You see?
Right. Yeah, beautifully said.
So it's it's you're only harming yourself when you hold on to it, and it is natural, we are holding on to it, but that's where you have to snap out of it and wake up and then see what you're doing you know
Right. So, why do we sort of hold on to grudges, bitterness, anger, resentment? Because when you forgive, you have to let go of all of that. That's what forgive. When you forgive, you have to let go of all of that. That's what it means. So, why does that happen?
Right. So actually, like I mentioned earlier, we are holding on to it because we feel that it will help us prevent us from getting hurt again. So we hold on to it, you know, and we also don't know how to get out of it. Actually, we just so one with what we are feeling. It becomes very difficult for us to stand aside, for us to step aside, and that's where meditation really helps because you're observing yourself from a distance, and when you realize how it's harming you, then you stop holding on to it you know but we go really far, um, you know uh, holding on to this pain and this bitterness, when we don't realize what it's doing to us, so we take it really far, and then there's no going back really from there. Actually, in spirituality, there's always a going back. There's always, the doctors may say that your disease has come too far, but there is nothing that cannot be cured if it's written in your destiny, and if you are determined to make it happen, and if it's in your larger interest. Sometimes if the soul decides to leave the world at a particular time, then that's just the way life is going to pan out, and then it's for the larger interest of the soul. That's something which we are not privy to. But if the lesson is going to be to actually come out of this and come out as a more positive person, come out as a stronger person, coming out as a new person, then the person will survive it. So I think most people are really living in a kind of a half sleep, you know,
Mm.
a half life, not a full life. Because what happens is you get so used to it. Another actually an answer to what you asked is because you get so used to it, becomes your comfort zone. And you feel that if that apple cart is shaken, oh my God, your whole life is going to go topsy turvy. So you just get so, even though it is not pleasant, even though you're not happy with it, it's your comfort, isn't it? Your nervous system, your body, your mind has adjusted to that life. But deep down, when you'll see you're still unhappy. There's something that's there bothering
Yeah. That's wonderful. Yeah, definitely. Sometimes we just exist and we forget to live, actually. So yeah, that's beautifully explained, ma'am. So does forgiveness always have to be an emotional movement, like moment, or can it be like a conscious decision over time?
you. First, it's an emotional moment. Uh, First, when you see why you did what you did, why you endured what you endured, why you took on that disrespect, just giving, talking in examples, it can be so many things. That's when you come face to face with yourself. And this happens when you're seeing a therapist, or you're seeing a coach who enables you to go deep down into that moment in time, you know when this first experience happened in your life. So that is basically what it is. It's a very emotional moment. It's a moment where you will release, and it'll be a very cathartic moment, because we're all love at the end of the day. And when you see yourself, you will feel love. That's how it is. It's pure love and nothing else. And that's instant realization comes, and you see yourself face to face. That's why I always say it's a very emotional moment. But yes, you keep at it. You keep practicing this. There are various techniques you can do. Therapy offers you beautiful techniques. You can do them on your own. Inner work is actually a daily process. While you will go through this to come out of what you want to come out of, life will have new things for you every day, isn't it? There will be ups and there will be downs. So inner work is a lifelong process. And you should look forward to it. Don't look at it as, oh my God, don't tell me. I have again now to work on myself. If that is going to be your response, then there is the burden that you need to deal with. There is a feeling of being burdened that is there in your pattern. So you have to heal that, you know. So that, but yes, you practice it over a period of time, and once you see yourself and you can actually forgive over a period of it takes time. It takes time, and I cannot say it will take 2 months or 3 months or how long, because everyone is unique. Everyone, what I cannot suggest today, something that I might suggest for you, I cannot suggest it for another person, because if each one of us is so beautifully unique and we are so different from the other. So, but you have to be patient, because inner work takes time. Your body has to heal, your nervous system, your mind, and your soul has to heal. So give it time and give it patience, and it works wonders.
That's wonderful, right? So, like you mentioned earlier, in the first answer itself, that forgiveness is all about you, right? So, is it possible to forgive someone and still choose to walk away, from them completely and forgive yourself then?
Yes, yes. So a lot of people get confused when we talk of forgiveness, right? They think that if that you cannot yet that you can actually take on the insults, and you should just forgive and bear it up. No, forgiveness means, it does not mean that that you're not condoning someone. If someone has behaved badly or has done something he or she should not have done, you have to see it for what it is. So forgiving doesn't mean condoning. Um, that's one. And the other thing is, you can forgive and still decide not to spend your life with the person. You can forgive and you can walk away. You can forgive and you can set boundaries. That is, if you want to live with the person, or if it's a friend, you set your boundaries. You decide for yourself that you no longer want to take this. And these are the major changes you will see happening to you when you work on yourself and you heal the cause of that incident that has happened in your life. You will see. So yes, I mean, that is what forgiveness truly means. It's actually taking the pain, deciding not to carry the pain anymore, and you will do what you need to do in order to let go of that pain and leave the pain, because life is so much bigger than the way we see it. Life is so beautiful. There's so much more. There are so many dreams that we have. There are goals that we have, and who's stopping us from achieving them? No one is stopping it. Nobody can. And if somebody stops us, then you decide. You make yourself reach that point where you get the strength to either be with the person or leave the person. Clearly, the very fact that you have taken on the disrespect means that you do not have that strength within you, right? So that's where therapy helps to get to that point.
That's very
So
helpful.
yes,
So,
yeah.
yes, yes, you can continue.
No, so yeah, that more or less that's what I was wanted to. I mean, if that's fine with you, if I could just go one step further
Mm.
and explain that forgiving the other is so connected to forgiving yourself. People just wonder, but what have I done that I should forgive myself? You know, so what happens is, the other actually is a reflection of you. And as I had explained to you, we are all mirrors of each other. Our lives are mirrors of who we are. What we are experiencing, the people we are meeting, is reflecting who we are, right? Our frequency is bringing that experience back to us, for the obviously the reasons that I explained, for the soul learning its lessons reasons, right? So when you start um, coming face to face with yourself, and you start seeing and understanding why you did what you did, what was the root cause of that belief that you had about yourself, which attracted this relationship in your life, that's where the self forgiving starts. Actually, you are confronted. You feel so much love for yourself at that time that the forgiving is spontaneous, natural, automatic. It just happens. It just flows. And there are techniques. You'll be doing a lot of techniques people do. Hopono is one technique, very, very effective technique. It's not just something that you have to read and just do or just verbally say no. You have to really feel it. And it has to be connected to the therapy that you are having. That's where the real churning happens. That's where the real. So forgiving yourself is actually a moment of transformation. The moment you do that, you leave the past behind. And when you leave the past behind, you become unstoppable. You can do anything you like. You can attract the relationship you want. You can attract the life you want. You can become the new person that you want to be. There's nothing stopping you.
That's very, very incredible right there. Like you mentioned that we carry others' actions as our burden. Like there's a lot of conversation in this conversation. We talked a lot of on burden. We emphasized on that. So how do we begin to put that weight down?
So, the way to do it is journaling. I would say, first of all, before I go into the techniques, I just want to say, ask yourself first, do you want to let go of it? That's the most important. Do you truly want to let go of it, or are you doing it because you think or you've heard or read somewhere that it's the thing to do? Unless the calling doesn't come from inside, it doesn't work. So that's the first thing. The other thing is, I would strongly recommend journaling, um, writing down in a moment of complete holding nothing, not holding anything back. Just writing down your feelings. See, feelings are your cues. How you feel, this is not about your mind. Your mind is there to help you and to support you, but you have to go by how you feel. So if you write it down, if something makes you feel really bad about yourself, that's when you write it down and you realize, and that's how one of the ways that you come face to face with it. The of course the and then this has to be accompanied by therapy because it takes you back. Actually, there are techniques that take you back to when it originally started. The root cause of it could have happened in childhood, could have happened in your teenage years, could have happened in your, the feeling of unworthy could have happened in adult you met in your professional life who made you feel a certain way about yourself and you started believing it. That's how the damage starts. So that's how little by little the layers keep getting peeled. You peel one layer, then you peel the second layer, you peel the third layer, and God gives you so much strength. You feel, how will I have the courage to face it? How am I going to do it? A lot of people ask me this question: what will happen? Will my life change? Will I lose this person? Will I lose that person? What will their response be? But you get, all this comes from inside. Strength comes from inside. You will be surprised at how much strength you have. If you have a problem in your life, as I said, your soul drew it over there, brought it there. You were given the strength to deal with it. So never feel that there is nothing you can't handle. You know, Courage comes on its own. A lot of people ask, where do I get this courage from? Nobody is going to give it to you. You have it within you. Actually, you have everything within you that you're seeking for outside. You realize it when you're in the process and you're learning to forgive yourself. You're learning to forgive the other. As I said, the other is a reflection of you. So it's actually forgiving yourself. So when you forgive yourself, magic happens.
That's amazing. That's really
Yeah.
amazing. You know, the idea that it is never about the other person, it's only and only about you, can feel a little harsh at times. So, how should people understand this without blaming themselves? Like, how do you differentiate between taking responsibility for your life and blaming yourself for everything?
It's so true. Actually, the word responsible has become associated with burden. You look at it deeply, you'll see, oh God, the responsibility. The association is that of burden. That's where what you have to change. You know, you say, I am response able, which is basically I have the ability to respond, you know. So this is something I heard and I have imbibed it, I have learned it, and I'm practicing in my day-to-day life, you know. So automatically, when you keep repeating it, so the brain believes what you tell it. That's how it works. You keep repeating it, you keep writing it, you keep saying it like a mantra, and deeply believing it. Of course, you can't just be saying it and not believing it. That's when you slowly start changing your idea and association of what responsibility means. You see, your ability to respond is limitless, but your ability to act is limited. And responsibility is associated with action, right? There is only a certain amount that we can do, right? But we can respond in any way is limited, unlimited, really, for us. So that's how the association comes. You know what happens is you realize that that the story begins with you. The moment you realize that, as you go deeper and deeper in your therapy, and you realize that it frees you. So what happens is it empowers you. I mean, empowerment takes over the burden. You feel so free. Hey, I can actually decide what how I want to be, and I don't have to let someone else decide it for me. So it may sound like a burden that, life begins with you and you are the source of everything, but look at it as something empowering. Because actually, what is a burden? Truly, what's a burden is when you're a slave to someone. When you blame someone for something that you're going through in your life, what are you doing? You're being a slave to that particular situation or to a person, isn't it? You've given away your power. So there is nothing worse than that. But when you become free and you're like, I will decide how I'm going to feel, I no longer feel unworthy, and I decide not to be with people who make me feel unworthy. You will be surprised to see people change around you. Either the people, the person who has insulted you will change because you have changed, or he or she will leave your life. It's as simple as that. You have to do nothing. So, actually, very empowering. So, I would urge people not to look at it as a burden, because it's actually not a burden. It frees you, and keep practicing and keep saying that you are response able for everything. Your ability to respond is limitless. You know,
That's excellent. And
I
definitely, I
hope
think
that
one,
explains.
yes, it is very important to stand for yourself. And, when you stand for yourself and you have a voice that you can, share or express very bluntly, you can see really good results for it. It's very important to express yourself very, like meaningfully, I feel. And that I think this is something that people can learn real time, because this sort of these questions that we have for you today are very real life based
Yes,
scenarios, because this
yes,
happens in our day-to-day life, and it's just not just with our family, friends, or colleagues. It's just with how the world operates, like how the world runs, around with people, like how we build our relationships. So I think like all of these answers are so meaningful and very helpful for all of the viewers today. So yeah, this brings me to the yes, ma'am.
so I was just saying the same will happen in your career, in your
Right.
workplace. If you have a bad boss, see what the bad boss is why you call him or her a bad boss. What is it about this person that is bothering you? Then you go inwards and you work on that quality in yourself which you see in that person. The moment you start, I know it is very difficult initially, because you will not be ready to believe first that, let's say, the boss is a very rude person. Okay, so it will not be easy for you to believe that you yourself don't speak kindly to yourself. When I say you yourself are rude, you yourself don't speak kindly to yourself. You will hear your own inner critic, right? So when you work on yourself, because that person is coming in your life, he or she, because you have drawn it there, you have attracted it there. You see, so
Right.
it takes you out of victim. You stop blaming the other person, no? that I am what I am because of the other person. Then you realize you work on yourself, and then what happens, I'll tell you, people will remain what they are. So your boss will continue to be a rude person. He or she will not change, but he or she will not come in your experience anymore. So either they will go to somebody, either you will get a new boss, okay, or either this person will stop troubling you. All those things, it's magical the way things happen. So there's a lesson. So just be aware of that lesson. What is that? What is this teaching me? What do I need to learn? Constantly self-reflect, constantly introspect and see.
That's great, really. So, you talked about belief right now. So, what is that one belief about forgiveness that you should think people need to unlearn immediately? Like a misconception.
Actually, one major misconception I have seen is people, let's say somebody is with an abusive spouse, okay? They will start working on forgiving the spouse for all the abuses and for all the, what shall I say, wrongdoings that the spouse is doing towards them, because they think that they must forgive. That is what forgiveness means. Hmm? So they continue to endure that torture because they think that, I don't know what they think actually. They just think that that's the definition of forgiveness, that you have to endure the wrongdoing, that you have to endure the injustice. And that's what I just want to say. This is completely incorrect. It's Forgiveness is letting go of what you believe about yourself or the grudges that you're holding about the other person in your aura, harming yourself and your own beliefs. It is not about forgiving the other person in the sense that you should endure torture from somebody or you should endure disrespect from somebody. No, no. You start working on yourself. You shift the focus for a change from the other one to yourself, and then you see what happens. So this is one. I mean, there are others, but this one is a major one, which I feel a lot of people think that forgiveness, and that's why it becomes very hard for them to forgive. You see.
Yes, definitely. I think tolerance is not forgiveness at all. And one
Exactly.
should, yeah, one should learn
That's what
about
it
it.
is. And it's about forgiving yourself. They don't, that's the other misconception. They don't know what forgiving the other person means to forgive yourself. And I mean, we've spent some time, and for all people who have heard this conversation, will be able to understand what it truly means. But yes, so it's about, at the end of the day, forgiving yourself and moving on, leaving the past behind. You did the best that you could do, that you could understand at that point in time. Your understanding of life, your understanding at that point in your own evolution was that you did what you had to do. And it's because of your past self that you are here where you are today. So, on the contrary, you have to offer gratitude to the older you who took on those insults and who attracted the wrong careers and the wrong relationships and who thought really poorly about yourself. You have to thank yourself, and that's where what we do is we really make you come face to face with yourself. You accept and you give a lot of love to yourself and you embrace yourself. So your inner child, the smaller you, the younger you embrace that person, because that person, don't forget, is a part of you. The you of today has that person. So if that person still feels neglected, unloved, uncared for, unaccepted, remember that is you. So you will continue to feel unaccepted and you will continue to be unhappy because you have not embraced and accepted who you were. So you are an amalgamation of your past and your future. Actually, there is no future, there is only the present. It's really very interesting, but that's how it is. When you look at what quantum physics says, it's just the present. Future has not even come, the past has gone. So who you are being and what you are being right now will decide everything that flows to you.
That's awesome. I think this does remind me somewhere of the epic, Ramayana tale. Because no matter how many times Lord Rama tried to forgive Ravana, because Ravana was such a wise man, he couldn't learn, and at the end, he destroyed himself because of his ego, his anger, and everything. And
Mhm.
even though Lord Ram gave him so many chances, and he tried to forgive him, and give him let him go of it, but he couldn't at the end of the day. And that is why, like everything that you mentioned today, I think it distinctly reminds me of that tale, because that is what teaches this lesson about forgiveness to us.
Amazing example, Apurva. Seriously, such a beautiful example. Yeah, really.
Thank you. So yeah, this brings me to the last and final question for you. What, changes internally when someone genuinely forgives themselves and others? Because, like you mentioned, like we have all of the, when you don't forgive, how does it affect our well-being, our health? So when you free yourself from all of this, it's like you explain it's magical. So how would you conclude everything? Like if you have to summarize it, how do you feel about it when you forgive?
I think you're reborn. It's your second life. Because in the first life, you were unaware and you did the best you could with the level of awareness you had. And now you are alive, you are awake. And when you feel yourself alive, um, you feel you have so much energy. Your dreams, your goals, your visions, you finally believe that you can achieve them. You never believed that you could achieve them earlier. And you would never connect. Oh, this is connected with forgiveness. Yes, it is connected with forgiveness. It is deeply connected because we hold so many grudges about ourselves that we are carrying. And that is what is limiting us from getting to where we want to get. Nothing else. Nobody else is limiting us, only ourselves. So it's a new life. You're born again and you can achieve anything you want. Anything you want. There are no limits, actually. No limits. And when you work on yourself, the divine supports you. And the divine is constantly supporting you, actually. But you will see that when you have walked towards yourself, you're walking towards Him because the divine is in you, nowhere else. So when you respect yourself, you respect the divine. And you walk one step towards yourself, He takes 10 steps towards you. So you feel loved, you feel supported, and you feel really alive. You're actually living your life properly.
That's that's magical, I think. So I have literally got so many goosebumps during this conversation, because all of the things, all of your answers are really, really meaningful, and they teach us so much. I think there are so many key takeaways from this conversation that all of our readers would love to have. I think it's like a free one-on-one therapy session for everybody. Like the next time anybody feels angry or they have to
Absolutely.
forget, this is just the 1 hour they need to invest in, and I think they'll definitely know more and more about themselves and how they need to even live. So yeah, thank you so much, Rashika, for your time and effort for this interview. But definitely, I just want to give you a small vote of thanks. So thank you so much for sharing with us your insights today. I think we got to learn so much about forgiveness and compassion through this conversation. I think for all of our viewers, I think we are definitely looking forward to featuring more conversations with iconic women leaders like you, shaping the future of coaching and leadership right here on the Business Viewpoint magazine. Thank you so much, Rashika. I think it was lovely meeting and talking to you again. And I hope that next time it needs to be in person. We'll try to make it possible some or the other way. But yeah, I think we've created a lovely bond over the screen. But definitely, I would love to meet you in real life soon.
Same here, Apurva. It's mutual. Whatever you have said is completely mutual. Do send this video to as many people as you can,
Yes,
as many of your listeners. The more, the merrier. The more people it helps, the better it'll be. So I look forward to more conversations with you.
yes, definitely,
Thank
definitely.
you so much.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Lovely meeting and talking to you, and hope to see you soon, ma'am.